actually this too as a palette together. Wouldn't that be nice? This will stay in my cold, dead hands. You gotta pry it away from me. This palette, problematic AF. But you know what? This is so underwhelming. I think this is probably my oldest Colourpop eyeshadow palette. This is the grand finale of the eyeshadow palette collection mini-series. You guys seem to really enjoy this mini-series, which thank you guys so much for the overwhelming love and support. Today, we will be checking out this container over here. If you're curious to watch like the other parts where I run through this shelf over here and this container over here, maybe you want to see what I have, what are my thoughts, highly recommend you to check the link down below. I'll create like a mini playlist for you so you can check that out. But for today, this container, and actually it contains a lot, and I mean like a lot of Colourpop palettes. They are really old palettes, the golden era of Colourpop as I like to say it. So I will run through this, and there are a couple of other palettes in here as well as blushes for some reason because they're just convenient to keep here. So a little extra I guess. And without further ado, let's get into it. We are back in the corner of eyeshadow palettes, and as you can see, this one that we're going to be talking about today isn't as fully filled as compared to this container over here. And you know what? I'm actually going to pull this one out. Ooh! Okay, that was heavy. Shoot. Okay, that was heavy. And I'll just put this here so it's just easier for you guys to see. Let's start off with this palette over here. This one is a magnetic palette that's kind of cheaply made, to be honest, kind of tacky as well. Probably bought it off Taobao or Shopee, I can't really remember. And these are all Colourpop shadows. This is probably like a bronzer. This one, I believe, oh, I think this was an Essence blush if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Ooh, I did write it on the back. This one is also an eyeshadow from Colourpop. Oh god, I can't hold things. This one is The Game. Yeah, I think a lot of these shadows are actually kind of already discontinued if I'm not wrong. What's this one? This one is Private Party from Colourpop, and this one's a bronzer. It's a satin kind of bronzer, which yeah, it feels a little bit patchy, not gonna lie. I actually might just throw this out. This one over here was also from Colourpop. I think this was the little Nai Pen palette, the Sol and Mar palette, if I'm not wrong. I can't remember which is which, but it's the one that was the blue one. I absolutely love this color over here. Oh, look at that. Ooh, isn't that stunning? Oh my gosh. But it does feel a little bit gritty in a sense. And this cobalt blue, ooh, electrifying. And ooh, that looks so good. It's kind of obvious that I don't really use this palette over here. And the shadows here, I don't know, 2018, I guess? Gosh. They still feel pretty alright, to be honest. Look at what's on my fingers right now. This is crazy, and this is definitely giving swatch, party era kind of thing. So pigmented. Yeah, maybe I don't use this, to be honest. I might just throw these out. Maybe keep this and this shade over here. I want to swatch, but my fingers are dirty. Hold on. I do feel a little bit dry, not gonna lie. Actually, this feels pretty alright. Whatever is being swatched on my hand right now, isn't the color story quite unique? I swear, I feel like they don't make eyeshadow palettes as fun or as interesting color story-wise as compared to in the past, like this over here. So this was, you know, it's a nice moment, but I think I'll probably throw these out, to be honest. I'll keep this. But honestly, a pewter gold like this, I don't really use this kind of color as well. It's a little bit too yellowy to my liking, so I don't know what to do with it, but I'll just keep it on hand. Honestly, I low-key feel like a hoarder because there are some eyeshadow palettes here that I probably would have not bought if I had known any better, but I'm just telling myself like, okay, it's part of the journey to discovering what I like and I don't like. This is from Perfect Diary. This is actually a C Beauty brand, and I bought this way back in like 2018 if I am not wrong. And this color story, I was feeling, I guess, a blue moment, but you can tell I also didn't really use this as much. And I think I did do a review on their Cat palette, which I think I gave away to one of my friends already. I remember back then I said I didn't really like the formula and all that, so I'm not really sure why do I still have this. And they're definitely more, they're not buttery smooth, but they are definitely not crumbly either. Actually, I really like this shade. This shade is a good transition shade, and it sits quite close to my natural skin color. Good for those like one and done moments. This one's a little bit patchy swatching out, but I don't have a gray in this color actually. How about this? Scorn. Ooh, this is nice. This is real nice. Wow, okay. Doesn't really have a strong base pigment, but it's like maybe like a medium hint of gray. Wow, this is quite nice. Wow, okay. I might have been sleeping on this palette a little bit. Wanderer. Oh, this blue is a no-go. Yeah, this blue is a no-go at all. It's barely picking up. Let's swatch Icy. Ooh, this one is nice. It's like a aura hue blue. This one really has that white to blue flip, that kind of thing. Oh, this is nice. Okay, let's swatch this one. Staring. Hopefully this is better than the other one. Okay, it's slightly better. I think this will look nicer on a dark base, like a black eyeshadow or dark navy eyeshadow. This on top. Ooh, I can imagine how good this would look. Arrogance. Ooh, this reminds me of like a denim blue. Ooh, this is pigmented. Wait, let me layer. Staring. This one on top of this. Oh wow, that is beautiful. Wow, okay. Yeah, I need to play with this palette because I'm obviously, oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. I'm obviously sleeping on this palette. Oh my. Wow, this is pretty okay. The thing is, I don't know if this eyeshadow palette is still available. I know that Perfect Diary is available in Singapore, but I'm not sure if this particular palette is still available. Hopefully, yes. If not, I'm so sorry for for swatching this and then y'all not being able to get it if you do wish to get it. We have the ColourPop Limoncello palette, and this one over here is quite warm tone. It's a little bit muted in a sense, but still quite fun. I obviously bought this maybe, I don't know, 2021-ish, if I am not wrong. This is one of the more recent palettes that I did pick up from ColourPop because honestly, I have not bought from ColourPop in a very, very long time. We're talking about maybe 2 years-ish, if I'm not wrong, because I just got very overwhelmed with a lot of the palettes that they were churning out at a crazy fast pace, and it was just very uninspiring in general. Oh, hello. So yes, I wasn't really vibing with ColourPop in general. Honestly, somebody could take this and sell it as a quad and I'll be like, oh my god, this is so inspiring. But honestly, I really should use this palette more. Actually, a lot of my palettes, I should use them more. I'm just so overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what to do, what to create. I think if you're somebody wanting to get into color and just experiment a little bit, ColourPop is actually a really nice place to start off with. And not gonna lie, that one's a little bit crumbly. Not gonna lie, the prices definitely have increased from like, pre-COVID, I guess. But I think for what you're getting, their palettes are honestly not too bad. And they do offer quite a variety of selection for anybody and everybody. This is ancient, prehistoric. I probably got this in maybe 2019 if I am not wrong. And this color story really reminds me a lot of the ABH Sultry palette. That one, same vibe. And because I think the only reason why I got this was because it was one of those like 12 days of Christmas deals and every day is a special deal, right? This one was actually $10 and then within like a certain time frame, they did offer free international shipping. So I had my eye on this and I was like, I want to get it for $10. Literally only $10. So it was maybe 14, 15 Singapore dollars. I'm like, yeah, I want it. Let's get it. So this is the palette and pretty, very pretty. I can see that this kind of pewter yellow gold, pale yellow gold kind of thing is so popular back then. Keep seeing this kind of color, which I will never wear, to be honest. I think the formula of the older ColourPop palettes, they are way much more softer, way much more silky, balmy, smooth. Oh, God, okay, let's do it with this one. And the rest of my fingers are kind of dirty, so we'll just leave it at that. Ooh. See how like smooth and pigmented they look? Oh my god. I feel that this palette over here leans pretty neutral, cool tone, maybe with like a pop of gold. But this gold, I feel it leans like a little bit more of like a pale yellow gold. And I think on me personally, I don't really like how gold actually looks like on me. I prefer this color, this silvery white. It looks so good. Next one we have over here is the Malibu Barbie collaboration with ColourPop. And this one, very pink, very summer, very loud and very fun. Actually serves up, this color looks very similar to one of these shades, right? Like this one? I don't know. Hold on. Something like this. But this one isn't as... Oh, actually swatched out. Okay, this one is a little bit more blue. This is more green. You can tell that I didn't really use this palette either because it's pretty warm tone and quite loud. Wasn't the most office appropriate or daily wear friendly in a sense. So that's why I didn't really reach out for it. But honestly, I like colors like Shine On and this one, more Make Waves, sorry. These two colors over here I think are quite nice for daily wear, but the rest leans a little bit, you know, fun out there. I think this will look good for maybe like parties or beach events. This will be cute. We have this other palette over here. It's the Whatever palette. I love the aesthetic of this like scrapbook cutout moment, and it's a very deep, vampy, very sexy kind of vibe. It's still so soft. Oh, isn't this so reflective? I live for wet eyeshadows like this that has like very minimal, barely there base, but there's a high shine to it that makes the skin look wet. And this shade Duh is actually a glitter, but I honestly never use these. These glitters are way much more chunkier as compared to like K-Beauty glitters. So these are highly dangerous to put on your eyelids. And I wouldn't put this on my eyelids. Partially also the reason why I stopped buying ColourPop eyeshadow palettes is also because they kept adding in all these chunky glitters, and you can tell it's not safe for the eyes. And I didn't want to risk it because ultimately when I buy an eyeshadow palette like this, I want to use up all of the shades. I don't want to be limited to just 11 because I spend my own hard-earned money and I want to use all of the shades. The fact that I can't do that, I have to be, you know, one down in a sense, it didn't make sense to me financially, so that's why I low-key kind of stopped as well. And I'm not really sure if ColourPop still includes glitters like this anymore because I honestly don't really keep up with ColourPop anymore. I lost track. I think I have one other palette that's quite similar in vibe later in this collection, this pile over here. Next up, we have the Kathleen Lights and ColourPop, the Zodiac palette. Ooh, do you guys remember this? Let me know if you have seen this or you were there when this palette dropped. When I saw this drop on ColourPop's website, I was trying to rationalize with myself. I'm like, oh my god, you know, you have neutrals over here, you still have your warms, your cools, and you have like fun pops of color and everything. I'm sorry to say, but I never really used this palette. Also because the quality of this eyeshadow palette, I felt that it was quite lacking. Like a lot of the shades were pretty patchy. For example, the Aquarius. I thought this color was quite fun, you know, something different. But do we see how patchy this is compared to the other colorful shades I swatched for you guys just now? It's just from ColourPop, this. I know that swatches don't tell like the full story, but even when I went in with a brush, it just didn't. It was not giving at all. You can see that it's also a bit crumbly right now, partially maybe because of, you know, time and all that. This is a nice soft pink color. Like the color itself is cute. But then when I just try to apply it on my eyelids, it wasn't it. The Sagittarius, dry, crumbly. See how patchy this is? And I swear, even when I got the palette fresh, and I was just, you know, trying to play around and use it, it's just so dry and crumbly. It wasn't the quality that I expected from ColourPop because I realized that when ColourPop does collaborations back then with Kathleen, it was really high quality stuff. So for example, like So Jaded, this palette over here, this is So Jaded. This one also was in collaboration and it was a good quality palette. But you know what? This is so underwhelming. And lastly, I'm going to swatch the Pisces. This blue over here. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great either. I can't bring myself to throw this out because it just feels like makeup history, you know? But honestly, if I were to throw this out now, I'm not gonna miss it, so I might throw this out, but yeah, I'm so torn on this. This is a bad quality collaboration example, right? This one, the Kathleen Lights Dream Street palette. This is good. This is fantastic. I remember when I first got this palette back in like 2019 or 2020, if I'm not wrong. I was all over this palette because I just love the quality on this, and I was still in school. I had no business wearing like this deep navy kind of color and this hot coral. I didn't want to wear colors like this, but I used everything else, and honestly, it was good. It was really good. And I still occasionally, in a rare moment, reach out for this. Can we see how much more pigmented this is as compared to the neutral shade that I just used earlier? And then this shade, I think this is Moony if I'm not wrong. I love this shade so much. And you can tell, like, oh my god, this is a boring beige shade, Crystal. What are you talking about? But there's just something about it that the way it shines and reflects as a satin shade, it just worked out so well. It's so beautiful, so subtle. I love this shade as well. You can see that I actually did have quite a bit of a divot in it as well. This one has kind of like a peachy, shimmery, satin kind of thing. It does feel a little bit dry, unfortunately, but this is beautiful. And we have this as well. So it's like the bluish version of this. Isn't that pretty? Oh my gosh. I feel like if I wet the shadows, they would be like magic all over again. Every single shade in this palette over here, it was high quality, it was good. You can see that this shade over here, it's a bit patchy, even when I try to like blend it out. But you can tell there's pigment to it. And I swatch this, swatch this, swatch this. You can tell that it's good quality and it worked out well. The Zodiac palette was truly a huge letdown in my humble opinion. And anyway, you can't get that palette anymore. But Dream Street will forever have a place in my collection. I will not throw this palette out even though this is well due, you know, well past its expiry. This will stay in my cold, dead hands. You gotta pry it away from me. Ooh, okay, this one, California Love from Colourpop. This one is super warm tone. Very, very warm tone, and this one I kept around just for sentimental reasons as well, because this was the last eyeshadow palette that my mum bought for me before she passed on. So I obviously kept it around. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away, and I just think that, you know, she's supporting me kind of thing in my makeup decisions, and I think, yeah, this is just whole sentimental value for me. The palette itself, if I'm not wrong, is supposed to be a dupe for the Natasha Denona Bia palette, if I am not wrong. One of Natasha Denona's palettes. I can't remember which one, but I remember there's one with like a grayish blue shade, if I'm not wrong, in it. I remember watching a couple of dupe videos back then, and I actually got my hands on this, and I was eyeing that Natasha Denona palette back then. I was like, oh wait, since this is supposedly like a dupe, then I don't need to buy it. So I kind of save money. As you can see, this El Captain shade is the glitter formula from Colourpop, and it looks super duper chunky. I never really use this. I think I barely used it, maybe to swatch it maybe, but other than that, I didn't really use it. Let's swatch Gnarly Laguna Zakia. I don't know how to pronounce it. And which one? This one, Mission. This one over here. Very pretty shades. And you know what? A lot of these Colourpop shadows, they actually still feel fine, even though they are probably expired at this point. But you know what? Nothing is giving me rashes or infections or whatsoever, so I'm gonna keep it still. Diego, this one still feels wet. Look at how wet and shiny this looks. Oh my god. Ooh, that is pretty. Can you imagine this paired with this in an eye look? And then you have this as your transition shade. Oh, that is a look. Wow, look at that. Very pretty palette. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep this for sure. Okay, this is the one that looks super sultry, super sexy. All That palette. You can tell the cover of it. This is giving some seductress, sexy vibes as well. I think this was for Valentine's, if I'm not wrong. This, ooh, this is so deep, vampy, sexy. I feel like this and the Whatever palette, they're kind of like sister palettes. These two palettes paired together, ooh, this is every gothic dream, if I am not wrong. Actually, this two as a palette together, wouldn't that be nice? Ooh. Okay, I'm getting some inspiration, to be honest, now that I'm looking at it. I feel like Whatever palette is pretty warm tone, while this one leans cool tone. And you know what? I'm kind of here for it. Oh my. This is a moment for sure. Now, as you can see, I also barely touched this palette, but honestly, let me swatch this. This Come True shade. It's a matte with glitter in it again, but hey, this is nice. Okay, Cha-Cha. This is a flat matte. Ooh. I think this palette, ooh, this is gritty. This is another one of those glitter formulas which I detest. I think this palette will look good on people, especially who have a very winter season palette. I think this will look stunning on them because the colors in this palette are so vampy, but they lean pretty cool. But it's like a cool red, cool burgundy, cool pink. Ooh, I want to use this actually. And when I swatched it, I'm like, wow, this color is actually really nice. The Sweet Talk palette from Colourpop. I love the aesthetic of this. They had a whole moment of this like scrapbook. I love it. I love it so much. I wish they brought this particular aesthetic back in 2024. Very peachy, very pink, you know, very spring, coral vibe. Actually quite fitting. I think this palette is pretty cute. I don't think these colors look good on me though, especially colors like this, and this. Super peachy, super pink. Oh, I just saw that this crumbled me. And if I'm not wrong, this was the first palette that Colourpop ever included a super shock shadow, this side-to-side shade. Super wet looking. Ooh. It's a bit dried out, this one, but pretty. Very pretty. This one definitely has a bit more of that peachy gold flip to it. There are some peachy particles of shimmers in there. I'm not really sure if it's this or is it all the glitter that has on my arm so far, but this is cute. But I think this is just not for me. Again, keeping this because of sentimental reasons, and it's just kind of a reminder to me of simpler times. I think this is probably my oldest Colourpop eyeshadow palette. Give it to me straight. And this one is definitely a mauvey purple pink moment. I did use it quite a bit as well. I don't know if you can tell, but I think back then I would go in with a pretty light hand because I low-key was a little bit afraid of how intense these colors would show up. But my favorite shade in this particular palette was Straight Up. This one, for some reason, is just extra smooth compared to all the other shimmers. And colors like this as a shimmery shade was all I ever wanted when I was in school. I was like, oh my god, obsessed. I love it. And this was what I wore on my eyelids the most frequently. And this was my go-to shade whenever I wanted to add something to my eyelids. I think this color story is pretty modern, and even if I were to cover up this bottom row over here, which is the more intense colors over here, this will appeal to a lot of people. I feel that this is what K-beauty shadows are kinda is of right now. Okay, I think that is all for the Colourpop eyeshadows. The rest, still got K-beauty one over here. This is the Cleo. This one, I believe, was in collaboration with aespa back then when they were still endorsing Cleo. Pro Eye palette in 12 Autumn Breeze in Soul Forest. I did do a video on this, so if you're interested in that, go and check the video out. Put a card up above. I have a gut feeling that Cleo is going to discontinue this though, because recently they released their Pro Eye Palette Air. This is the latest new formula from Cleo, and you can tell the the whole transparent plastic packaging thing still stays. It's just that now it's like rounded corners. And I must say that they did improve the formula of the Pro Eye palettes. This one feels less crumbly. I don't feel the eyeshadow balling up on my finger pads, I guess. And it just feels much lighter. Not saying that this is bad quality. I feel that it's just a quality improvement from Cleo. If you're in the market to get a new K-Beauty eyeshadow palette, I think the brand you should get is Cleo. If you are on a budget or just want to get the most bang out of your buck, you have like a limit, maybe under like $30, then Cleo is probably the way to go. I still feel that basic eyeshadow palettes are the nicest K-Beauty palettes, to be very honest, but the pigmentation and the quality for what you're getting with Cleo, I think, is great. This palette, problematic AF. I no longer support the people behind it. I didn't know any better back then, so I bought this with my own hard-earned money, so I may as well just use it at this point, right? And honestly, this palette compared to the OG bigger palette, which I also own unfortunately, I feel that this palette isn't as inspiring as compared to the bigger version of it. The bigger version of it, I feel that that one was a little bit more unique. This one, I was a bit like, what's going on here? Did I buy it because of the hype? Yes, sadly, back then I was so dumb. I did use Root Beer, this shade over here. You can see the embossing kind of weared off a little bit. But all the other shades, I never really used it, to be honest. So I don't know what to do with it. And honestly, can I be honest? The quality of the shadows are actually very, very nice. It's just sad that the people who are behind this are just not great people. I wish Pat McGrath released more of this type of mini eyeshadow palettes in this exact layout and format. Yes, you don't get super high quality packaging in a sense as compared to like maybe the Mothership palette. This one is hard and heavy in actual weighty plastic. This one I think is nice enough that you get her actual formulas in smaller pans. You get a chance to sample and feel how her eyeshadow palettes feel and whether they work out for you, and they definitely come at a lower price point. This is maybe like, I don't know what, 40, 50 Singapore dollars when I paid for it. This Mothership palette costs like, retail price is 200. This is crazy. I don't buy Pat McGrath unless it's on sale, so I think these are no longer available. The packaging, I mean, it's pretty and aesthetic, but they don't feel weighty. Star Wars, I can't really care less for this, to be honest. If it was even just this packaging, I would be happy with it. I'm really here just for the shades itself. So yeah, Pat McGrath, she's probably not watching this, but I really, really hope they come out with more of these eyeshadow palettes. So those were all of my eyeshadow palettes, the remainder of it. And this portion over here onwards, this part, these are some of my blushes, and I actually plan on doing my blush collection edition. So if you'd like to see that, please let me know. But just for you guys as a little bonus, I guess, I will just quickly, go through it as well. So this one that I have over here in my hands right now are from Zodiac. If you guys have been on my channel before, you guys know I love Almond Vanilla. This one is actually one of my favorite blushes for the year of 2023. I just love how neutral it is, and I think that because it's a very heavy beige undertone, it's not too warm, it's not too cool, it ends up being very easy to pair with a lot of my colorful or neutral eyeshadow palettes, be it warm or cool. So this is one of my go-to blush palettes, and as you can see, they are a big formula, so they are raised to the side, and the color that I like the most is actually this color over here. Actually, do they have the name at the back? No, they don't. So the deepest color here, this is my favorite. As you can see, this one is very flat as compared to the rest. I do occasionally mix around, but this one shows up the best on my skin. Blueberry Sorbet, this one leans a lot cooler, much brighter, a lot of white base in it actually, and surprisingly, even though I'm supposed to be summer light and this is like my best blush, I am low-key a little bit bored of, the light, bright pink blush that's very white base, something like this. I mean, yes, it's nice to have on hand, but currently I'm looking for something a little bit more subdued, so something like Almond Vanilla works out pretty well for me. And this one is their regular formula. This is the Violet Knit Blush Palette. As you can see, very pretty. This is, I think, highly recommended for summer cool tones, which is what I am. So that's why I picked this up. Honestly, I don't really use this. I should. I know I should. The purple is alright. It's a little bit more on the paler side. Not as much white base as compared to a lot of purple blushes from K-beauty brands, because sometimes these purple blushes, they have a lot of white base in it and just makes my cheek a little bit too pale, and I don't really like it. It's like a very fine balance of being purple or too stark pale white. I'm not sure if it's just only me, but I feel like this shade and this shade, they are really close to one another where like, I can barely tell the difference. One is definitely lighter than the other, and this one is definitely more pink. Let me just show you guys. This is how it looks like. And oh my god, my hand is full of glitter. So it's this kind of color. It's actually quite cute. I mean, it's a very soft pink, somewhat similar to this, but definitely has a little bit more of warmth to it. It's not as bubblegum pink as compared to this one. I have 5 of Pat McGrath's blushes, and honestly, I think majority of them was gifted to me by a friend. I think 1 or 2 I bought with my own money. This one is Paradise Glow, so it's 2 color. When I use these 2 colors and I blend it together, right, it's a very like toasty red kind of color, great for autumn. I think this color will look great on somebody with deeper skin tone. This one is Nymphette, and this is like a neutral pink with a satin finish. And the thing I like about Pat McGrath's blushes is, yes, they are expensive. They are a pretty penny for sure. But the quality on it, definitely high quality. When I touch my cheeks and rub it during a long office day, they just stay there in place and they just adhere to the skin so well. I'm super impressed. This is Desert Orchid. Again, satiny kind of finish to it. Kind of like a burnt beige. And it's still quite neutral. I like to wear this together with... I like to wear these 2 together from Zodiac, the Almond Vanilla. You see this and this? They go super well together. So if I need a little bit of a sheen to my cheeks, I don't really want to wear highlighter, what I'll do is I'll have this as my base. So I'll apply this generally all over my cheek as like the brightening shade. Then I'll go in with this because this one has a bit of a sheen to it. It's like a healthy glow. I believe it's a limited edition shade. This is Nude Venus 2. And I think this one has a special packaging because it was part of the Bridgerton collaboration. I actually never watched Bridgerton. Somebody tell me, is it actually worth checking it out? And the embossing is a little bit different. You have stars over here. And I think this one is a bit of a matte. Yeah, this is matte. And this one, I think looks quite similar to this shade when swatched out. But the finish is slightly different and the color is slightly different. Slightly different. But you know what? They are pretty close to one another. I think that this one looks more of nudie, a little bit closer to my natural skin tone. This one looks quite pink. But honestly, between these 2, nobody can tell the difference. I think if you want like a barely there kind of look, this one would be the way. But this shade is no longer available, so I shall stop talking about it as well. This blush that I have over here from Pat McGrath is the shade Divine Rose. And you can see that it's a matte formula. Not so much of a baby pink, but definitely a nudie pink. I would describe it as such because it just blends into my skin so nicely. And I feel that this is the pink that would pair really nicely with a lot of looks. Sometimes you just want a little bit of flash to your cheeks without it being too maybe beige or coral or orangey leaning like this, like Desert Orchid, but just want a pink on your cheeks. This is the one to go for. Doesn't this like sink into my natural skin color so nicely? I hope you guys enjoyed this mini series of my extensive and massive eyeshadow palette collection. If you see a particular eyeshadow palette you think I should do a look with, something inspired by, I would love to hear from you guys as well. Drop it down in the comments. And also, should I do the blush edition of this? Granted, my blush collection is not as massive as this, but I think it'll be fun just to showcase my blush collection as well. So let me know what are your thoughts. And also, I have created a playlist of the whole extensive eyeshadow collection for you guys to refer to anytime that you need And I hope you guys have an amazing day wherever you are. Stay safe. Bye!